Hey guys, today I'm with my brother and we're going to talk a little bit about his work at LucasArts. So I hope you guys enjoy. So Rick, tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Rick. I used to work at LucasArts. I started over there in 2008 as an intern for the Jedi Academy, which was LucasArts' internship program. After that, I started full-time in 2009 as a core engineer, and then I moved on to a gameplay engineer in different titles.
Very interesting, Rick. What can you tell us about the culture and the atmosphere?
It was a really awesome place to start working at as my first video game gig, especially because there was a lot of really bright and intelligent people there who showed me the ropes of how to make games. It was amazing being surrounded by engineers from all over the world that knew how to do absolutely everything, and especially knew how to approach the craft of making games. I loved knowing all of them, and especially knowing people from outside my discipline, artists, animators, modelers, and storytellers that showed me how to make games as a whole, not just from an engineering point of view.
Very nice. So, what do you enjoy the most, Rick?
Well, I think when I got there, I was just amazed by all the Star Wars posters and art all over the walls. Being right next to ILM, I used to go and just look at all the awards that they had and all the movie posters with all the people that worked at them. So just being in those buildings was amazing, but I think what I enjoyed the most was the occasional talk with somebody that had worked in a really old game, like Day of the Tentacle or Monkey Island, and just speaking with them about how different the game industry and making games is.
That's very nice. What can you tell us about the first game or project you worked on?
Well, when I got there as an intern, I worked on a project that was going to be used for all the different games that LucasArts was making. I was actually part of the Indiana Jones team. That game was cancelled actually, but I was part of the team before it was cancelled, and I worked on a technology that was used to deploy games to all the video game consoles at that time.
Wait, so Indiana Jones, which console was that game going to come out?
That was going to be for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, but it was teased a few times during E3 and other times, but it was never fully revealed, and it never got to a point where we were comfortable with it, so we did not release the game.
So after that one, what was next?
So next, I started full-time, and I was working at the core engineering team, making technology for all the other games. So I got to make some really cool technology for Lucidity, which was an Xbox Live Arcade game that LucasArts made.
I remember Lucidity. I remember playing it, and it was a really nice game. Really had a really nice style to it, and it was simple, but it was entertaining, and I really liked the whole puzzle theme of the game.
Yeah, definitely. It was really nice being able to see a game like that in action and try a different style than the other styles that the LucasArts games had at that time.
So next was The Force Unleashed, right?
Yeah, next was The Force Unleashed 2. I moved to the gameplay engineering team after working on the core team for a while, and I was mostly in charge of animating and preparing the gameplay for bosses in the game. I also worked on some lightsaber technology and some of the encounters with other enemies in the game.
What kind of challenges did you face during the development of The Force Unleashed 2?
Well, the first challenge was following a game as revered and good looking as The Force Unleashed. Everybody loved that game, right? It was praised everywhere. It was the first Star Wars games that LucasArts made in a long time, and people were really looking forward to it. So one of the things that we had the biggest problem with, that we had to reboot our development way into the development of the game. At the end, we spent 9 months remaking the game and having it ready for launch. It was a mad dash. Everybody at the office was working overtime, weekends, etc., because we had 9 months to finish a full game. That's something that not a lot of people know outside, but it was a big challenge for us.
What do you think the game met expectations?
Well, I think the game was a little bit short and nobody really wanted a game that short, but it was because we only had 9 months to work on it that it was that short. Of course, we wanted to make a game way larger and way longer than that, but the reality is that you just don't have enough time to make it.
Were you happy with the final product of the game, or do you think maybe something could have been improved?
Of course, you can always improve on games that you make and projects that you make. It's nature, right? We always want to make things better. But I really liked the game, to be honest. And although I was a little bit sick of playing it at the end of development, like it happens with most games that you work on, it was a really good game and I enjoyed playing it a lot.
So after wrapping up with The Force Unleashed 2, what was next?
After that, we worked on a bunch of prototypes for new games. We had huge ideas for what was going to be the universe of Star Wars, which was a group of games that were going to be interconnected, and we're going to have shared economies, shared resources between all the games, and we're going to be able to have different experiences for people, so they would be producing ore or resources on one side, and then another game was going to consume that.
Was that connected to Star Wars First Assault?
Yes, that was actually connected to all the games that we had. Star Wars First Assault was one of them. We had some other prototypes, mobile games, strategy games, etc., that were all going to be within the same universe, and we're going to be sharing all that same economy and resources.
Right, so First Assault, what can you tell us about First Assault?
I can tell you that we were inspired by games in the market at that point. We tried to take the best things from Star Wars and the best thing from shooter games that were out at that point and make a really cool experience. We wanted squad-based gameplay, so you were supposed to do things with your squad. You had different missions where you could come out on one of the transports and finish the mission and then go back out. If you were successful or not was one of the conditions in the game, but having your whole squad survive was also part of the objectives.
The game had a more focused look and gameplay towards the infantry of Star Wars, right?
Yeah. So we were trying to make something that looked from the eyes of a stormtrooper or from a rebel trooper. We wanted people to feel like they were in the trenches, which is something people hadn't felt in a long time. Normally you were a Jedi, or you were Darth Vader, or you were one of the side characters, but you did not experience that feeling of being in the trenches with all your brothers dying and that type of feeling.
So eventually First Assault would become like the launching point for other games, right? Like an interconnected universe for...
Yeah, exactly. We wanted to have First Assault to introduce people into that universe and then have all the ancillary games around it that would feed its economy and its resources. As more people were playing, you would be able to play the other games that we had and experience what those games would give you and feed it into the other games. For example, if somebody was producing special weapon in one of the games, somebody else would be able to consume it in First Assault or in one of the other games.
Do you think that First Assault was going to be Battlefront 3, or was it something else entirely?
I don't know about that, and I don't think it was going to be Battlefront 3. It was a really different game from Battlefront, and I think people were mistaken by thinking it was going to be the same game. But it was a really cool game for sure. I really enjoyed working on it, and I really liked the perspective from the Stormtrooper's eyes.
Yeah, it looked interesting, and I think that maybe if the game could have developed to the end, maybe it could have been a very interesting game. More like Republic Commando, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's the feeling it had.
So tell us a little bit about your final thoughts on your experience at LucasArts.
It was a great time. To be honest, I thought it was never gonna end. It was really fun being around all those people, around all that IP that had so much legacy and that's still so relevant for everybody around the world that likes games, sci-fi, movies, etc.
After departing from LucasArts, where did you go and what did you do?
I left Lucas in 2012 and I went to a startup with a few friends where we made some mobile games. And after that, I moved to Kabam, which also made mobile games, and worked there for 2 years, making some really cool strategy RPG games.
Thanks, Rick, for the interview, and I appreciate your time, and thanks so much for letting us know your experience and your knowledge.
Of course, you're welcome. It was really cool being over here. Thanks.
Well, that was the interview, guys. I want to thank my brother for his time, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and see you soon.